Your end of the Gironda formula will make you...
Morning, Warriors! Welcome to the Wake. I hope you enjoyed The Phantom as much as I did. The Phantom of the Opera is one of those movies that it transcends time. Because when it first came out, like, people were shocked and appalled, like, oh my god, and completely freaking out about the horror in this movie, right? Now, remember, 1925, right? We're in the roaring 20s, we're on our way to the Depression, right? So, people were reacting because it was a more old and wholesome kind of world back then, I mean, can you imagine somebody in 1925 watching like Freddy Krueger or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? They would all have heart attacks, right? They would literally have to have 5 AEDs in the theater just for that. You know what I'm saying? So, things that I liked about the movie, right? I said it last night. I will always say it about these really good classic black and white movies is pardon. I'm telling you, oof. That Viking vodka just gets right to you in the morning. Oh, yeah, so it just, like I said, the use of light and dark and and then you notice when the people are acting, they're like constantly overacting with their hands and stuff like that, right? Because they have to emote without saying anything, right? Now, the version that I watched pre-showing, right, didn't have the color in it with the one scene where he's coming down all dressed in red, right? And then the second scene where he's outside, right? And the only thing that's red is the only thing that shows up in color is his face. I didn't see that version of it. I wish I did, because that was also amazing for back then. And if you notice, when they're doing the opera, right, you hear the girls singing, right? And that's all on the soundtrack, right? But back in the 20s, if you went to one of like the premier theaters, right, what would happen is they would have a piano accompaniment, right? So like it's funny, a lot of theaters around that were around that era that are still around have it. Like the one that I go to often is called the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville. That's the Blob Theater, okay? And they have a piano that lifts out of the stage and the guy can play it. It was amazing. And one of the things that I remember the most was when I saw Phantom up in New York on Broadway, right, was they had the same thing except the piano came from above and down, right, and the guy was playing it. And that, now seeing both versions, right, I can see the vision that they had in 1925, right, that, I'm losing my hand here, that if they had, right, if they had to use sound and all that, right, that's what they would want it to look like. You know what I mean? Right? And the whole vision of, the different things in this movie. I mean, for a horror movie, right, to go 100 years. This year it's 100 years old. I believe it's in March. It's in May was when it was released originally, right? 100 years ago, guys. And this movie is still showing, right? We showed it, right? Because one, it's public domain, so it's free, right? But the doc and I wanted to get a lot of the classics out there. And John, right, has been acquiring them, right? Just like The Man Who Laughed, right? Man Who Laughed, and then Nosferatu, right? And those three movies are in the top 100 movies that you should watch. That's put out by, IBDM and other different film groups. Okay, and we're glad that we could present it to you, and I hope you appreciate it as much as we did. And the one image that I cannot get out of my head, right, was when the ballerina's going up the staircase and then when they're coming down the staircase, right? And it's just like, you're looking at it and it's just, it's like, it's, if you guys ever got one of those waterfalls for your desk, right? And basically, it's this with the little bubbles going up and down, right? That's what it looked like. It was perfectly synced. And it was just, to me, it was also funny that when the ballerinas are talking to, talking to the guy in the basement and they're talking to the guy upstairs, right? They're still, like, they're on stage. They're still jumping up and down on their toes, and the one on the left keeps spinning around, right? And the one on the right keeps waving with her hands, and and that, when in silent films you had to overreact, because the idea of any kind of entertainment is you're stimulating the audience, right? And by having them overreact and overact, right, really drew the audience in. And like I said, they did the best with what they had. And they did a hell of a job, I thought, So I hope you guys enjoyed the movie as much as I did. Said it's one of my favorite movies, and one of the big things I like about it is it just, at the end, right? The doc brought it up when you got 1,000 people chasing him through the street, and he leans back like he's going to throw something, right? And then all the people back, and he looks to people and smiles and shows them an open hand, right? That was magnificent. You know what I mean? It sounds silly, right? When I'm talking about it, but when you see that, it's totally amazing. So next week, right, we got I'm Haunted, right, with my girl, right, Elizabeth Chamberlain. And I actually have I sent her a message on Facebook, and the boss is going to try to get her where we can interview her on the show one time. So what's happening, a couple changes with the show. Well, one change with the show is I'm going to be doing one movie a month solo. Oh my God, I sound like Peter Brady. Solo from now on. And there's a lot of reasons behind it, but one of the main reason is the doc has so many irons in the fire, right? He has his Dr. Dread reviews, Swamp Theater, and if you get a chance, right, look at not Swamp Theater, Trailer Park, excuse me. He did that live in the State Theater up in Gilbertsville. It's an old, again, Art Deco, 1920s kind of theater, So he had asked me if I would just do one solo a month to give him some breathing room with all the things he's doing. And I was like, all right, yeah. And the two movies I'm going to take are I'm Haunted 2 and I'm Haunted 3. Why? Because my favorite redhead is in it, man. So, like I said, I have an email out to her, right, or a Facebook message out to her, and the boss is going to talk to the guy at whatever, HA, whatever I can't think of the name of it, but the Edmonton Horror Posse up there, if we can get her for an interview. I think that would be great. Okay. And then, other movies we got coming up, and, he just sent us, and I'm trying to find it, there we go, the movies we're going to show in June. Now, granted, right, it's way down, it's pretty far down the road, but think of it, the way this year has been going, it's insane. Now, our first anniversary is in June, okay? I think it's June 14th is the first night that we went on last year, okay? And, that for us, for the doc and I, right, like, wow, we've been on for a whole year, and, and thanks to you people out there. But we have, right, some really great movies coming up. First of all, Crickfoot. Crickfoot is, it's a community-posted movie. Basically, the guy up in a place called Hatfield, Pennsylvania, which is like probably 50 miles south of New York, 50 miles north of Philly. And he sent an email out to all his friends and say, hey, gave him the premise, right? It's like a Bigfoot that's roaming around there. He likes to drink Keystone Light and eat hot dogs. And he loves drinking hot dog water. And he said, guys, can you all give me like 5 minutes? And he put it in a local newspaper up there, probably like the Town Talk or Suburban Weekly or whatever they call it, right? And they did not fail. They were hysterical, right? And he put them all together and made this movie, right? And it's a horror movie that's totally different from anything you've ever seen before. And for an independent movie, it's great. And the guy who put the movie together, his name's Bone Johnson, and he's running a con up in Quakertown called Bones Bazaar, right? And that's our first dual appearance. I've done some myself with the Delco Horror Haven crew, right? And Doc has done it a million times at like big conventions like Monster Bash and things like that. So anyway, then we have Schizoid, Reap, and Trintus. I don't know much about them. They're all independent movies, so I don't know which one. I don't know a lot about them right now, but I can imagine Schizoid guy looks like Freddy Krueger, right? And Trintus, I think Trintus is like somebody with dual personalities, but I don't know, so I'll be finding that out. And I hope you guys are watching Offbeat Cinema every day, because Offbeat Cinema is one of the premier movie showcases that are out there. And I'm really glad that we got it, because I have been watching them for probably 10 years. And they're goofy and kooky, and it's totally enjoyable, because if you guys are old enough to remember what a beatnik was, right? They're kind of like, use their own words, the cool cats, right? And they would sit in, coffee bars and drink espresso and watch people do poetry and stuff, right? They were like the anti-hippies. But they make it work, and it's hysterical. You guys will enjoy it, Now, after we have I'm Haunted at the end of this month, we have all these movies coming up in April, right? One, Spider Baby with Lon Chaney Jr. We're going to make this movie palatable for us, let's put it that way, right? Then we have X-Night, Escape from Warp Hell. That's an independent movie done by a guy named Jim Canatelli, who was the crazy-ass fisherman in Slaughter Beach, which we showed last year on Labor Day weekend, right? Really good, right? And Jim, he's a writer, director. He actually has, this is a comic book that he wrote, right? And I'm hoping to bump into him now that I have a job. I'm going to buy a couple of the comics so I could read them. But yeah, really, really good. And I actually saw that the other day, trying to prep myself for when we shoot this week, and it's really good. Dead Girls, I don't know much about it, but look at this. I mean, you got 4 hottie chicks and a phantom. I mean, what else would you want in a horror flick, right? I'm Haunted too, right? So that'll be on at the end of the month in April, right? Now, I don't know which one of these that they're going to put on Good Friday, right? But they're all classics. I can't pick out one of them I want to do an Easter theme with, but the Doc and I will talk about it, right? And then in May, we got Axe, right? Another Axe Murderer film, can't wait. Creature of Destruction, it's a 50s classic. Everybody's hosted this movie, right? And it's really, really good. I'm Haunted 3, right? Again, because there's so many unanswered questions with I'm Haunted 1 and 2. The Chilling, right? Which I really don't know what it's about, but I'm assuming, because the cover page had a phantom, right? So I'm looking for that. And then The Curse of Bigfoot. Now, I acquired this past week, right? It's an Alf costume. I know it's not Bigfoot, but I'm going to be wearing that as we do our bits for Bigfoot. And my son, reluctantly, will be with me, and we're going to shoot some scenes to try to imitate the original. If you remember the original Bigfoot, the movie that was made back early 70s, right? And it was a guy who went out hunting Bigfoot down, and it's just a really, really, really bad version, right? And it's hysterical. So this movie, right, you get a kick out of it. I have a lot of things lined up for it, and the doc does too. All right. Other things that we're going to have up here on Cemetery Cinema and WON, right? First of all, in April, on April 15th, which is a Tuesday, tax day, I'm going to be hosting the Jackie Robinson story. I know it's going to be completely different for me, right? You guys know me as the horror host guy. But I am also a Negro League historian, and the team that played in Darby, the homeland, right, was a team called the Darby Hilldales or the Darby Daisies, right? And they were a powerhouse, right, team in the 1920s, right? They were formed in 1910, right? And then in the 1920s, they just kicked everybody's ass, right? And in 1923 or 1924, they lost to the Kansas City Monarchs, and I'm hoping to get Phil Dixon, who's another Negro League historian, but he works with the Negro League Hall of Fame down in KC, and he's a Monarchs guy, so I want to have a really good conversation with him. And then in 1925, Hilldale came back, and in a 9-game series, which they won in 7, right, beat the Monarchs. Right, and then what they did back then, because they needed the money, they would play the extra games just as like a friendly, you know. And and I'm really looking forward to that. You get to see another side of me, and I think it's the Jackie Robinson story is something that's important that everybody should see, because he went through shit, right, to lead the way for all the guys that play in the major leagues and all sports right now, you know. And I think it's a shame, and never mind. It's a shame that it happened that way, right? And one of the things that breaks my heart, right, is Alan Tudyk, who you might see, he's on Resident Alien. He was in Serenity and all those movies, right? Big science fiction guy. He's in a million movies. He's done DC, he does Marvel, right? But he played the coach of the Phillies when Brooklyn came down, right, to play Philadelphia, right? And it was just horrible what they did. He was dropping. This guy's the head coach, right? If this happened today, right, he would be lynched. I mean, seriously, people would come down onto the field and beat the crap out of him because he's yelling the N-word. And it was horrible, right? But it speaks to you about, one, how much we've come forward, right, as a society, and two, right, that we can't forget, the past, right, but we have to, remember what our future, or, not remember, but look to what our future can be, right? That's all I can say, right? And look at it, man. The man, Jackie Robinson, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, he deserves a national holiday, So anyway, right? And then we have the Superwoman series that Johnny Rios, the boss, he's really into it. He's been producing that for years, right? And then the one lady, it looks like the one lady's going to retire her thing. And then they have another woman that's picking up the mantle, right, for that series, right? We had the Danbury hat tricks, right? What a bunch of great games. Oh, my goodness, right? And I think they play, I'm not 100% sure, I think they play next Friday, and we might be bumped, but I don't know 100% yet, and I'll let you guys know. And then I believe he's picking up a minor league baseball team, and then, was it him? No, the other, there's another station on streaming on a budget that's going to pick up the USL, which is like the minor league, MIS, the minor league it's the minor league soccer and professional soccer thing in the country, and I think he's picking up one of those teams from Jersey, the Jersey Rockers. Again, I'm getting old. I'd have to go into the email and look it up, but I think that was him or one of the other stations. But that watch it. I'm not a soccer guy. I'm a rugby guy. I'm actually on my way to see that the team where all of the guys that I played with, right, run, called Media Rugby, premier rugby team in the area, right? It's actually Delaware County's rugby team. And then Brandywine, for men's and youth, Media has a men's and youth team, whereas Brandywine's a men's team, and it pulls from about 4 different youth teams in the area, right? And it's fun. It's 18 and up, right? And let me tell you, there's a guy on the team. His last name's, an old boy, right? His last name's Myers. He's going to be 70. He's 70, and he's still playing, right? And he was around when, I was a kid playing. He didn't coach us, but he was around a few games, and Muldoon was our coach. But I'm telling you, man, it's a fun game, and I'm looking forward to go out and see it. But soccer, or if you watch Premiership soccer to me is boring. It's like a basketball game where no one scores, But I like watching the lower soccer, right? Because you see the guys that are trying to work their way up, and guys that are down there that are busting their ass and are always going to be down there, And I enjoy all of that, you know what I mean? Because I like watching a little guy climb the rope, so they can make it to the top. But yeah, so. All right, so my game is in 53 minutes, so I got to get my ass in gear and get out. But this is the Mad Darbarian for WONTV, Cemetery Cinema, and I'm saying I'm out of here. See ya. Don't want to be ya. I forget that song. It's a rap song. Look it up. And you know what? The Doc and I are saying that way too often anymore. We're showing our age. I'm actually older than him. Can you believe it? Yeah, older, right? But we're I'm a couple years older than he is, and when we come out with these references, we get it, right? Because we lived through it. But we always got to put the disclaimer in. Look it up. So Cemetery Cinema, sponsored by Wikipedia. No, never mind. All right, I'm out.